All right. I believe we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Money Lion MMA. We have returned a week of absence. The UFC took a break. Jose and I took a break. Actually, got to go to Las Vegas. Had a fantastic time. Um, and in the meantime, we had a weekend off. And then the weekend before that, we had the Fiziev and Gamrot main event. So I just wanted to briefly go over the results from that main event before we get too deep into the fights happening this Saturday. So just to recap, the five weights of Jose and I was Marina Rodriguez to beat Michelle Waterson Gomez, which did happen. Jose and I's five weight went and hit a home run. It was a fantastic win. Going from there, we had a disagreement on the main event. I had Gamrot, Jose had Fiziev, and it had an unfortunate injury ending. In fact, a lot of the judges had Fiziev winning the first round, and then Gamrot was trying to make a statement to get his name under the belt on a couple of rounds, but he blocks a kick from Fiziev, and Fiziev goes to step back on it and tears his knee up. Can't stand on it anymore. So, just by torn up knee, Mateusz Gamrot gets the win. It would be nice to see them fight again. To be honest, even having Gamrot's side on that, Fiziev looked really good, and that fight might need to happen again somewhere down the line. And then lastly, I think worthy of discussion. Well, first, Brian Battle got the job done. That was another big pick of Jose and I, at least of mine. Jose did pick Battle, but not as a top weight. The only loss on our end, though, and this is for both of us, or excuse me, no, this is just for me. Jose did have Bryce Mitchell. I had Danny Ige. So that was a win for Jose in his book because, man, I really thought Dan 50K Ige was going to go out there and show more. He just got completely out wrestled. He got a couple good shots in on Bryce, had him bleeding pretty bad, but in the end, the damage didn't make the difference. So Jose and I kind of went 1-1 on picks against each other, and that'll take us into this weekend. A fight card headline by Grant Dawson and Bobby Green. This, I believe, is Grant Dawson's first five-weight fight of his career. Five round fight, excuse me, of his career. Definitely his first time headlining a UFC event, albeit not pay-per-view. It's a pretty good card coming up for you guys. And before we get too far into things, I'm just going to remind everyone how our pick system works over here over at Moneyline MMA. We make 5 picks based on the weights of the main cards. There are 6 fights listed to be on the main card. We're picking 5 of them, and we're assigning a pick with weight confidence. And that weight confidence gives listeners just an idea of, how confident are we in comparison to one pick from the next. And we always start with our most confident pick. You guys are welcome to listen to our best bets and leave, or you can always just scroll past and get our picks by kind of simming through. But either way, we're going to start with our most confident picks of the afternoon. And for me, Saturday afternoon, my most confident pick lies in the co-main event. We're talking Joe Pyfer versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan. And obviously, I've got the favorite in this. This is a fight with a very heavy favorite. Joe Pyfer is currently standing at minus 520 on the FanDuel sports books. Abdul Razak Hassan, is plus 350. So, it's really no surprise for me to be taking the favorite here. He's really just been the more dominant man, as well as being a much bigger man, and he's really got the age kind of on his side. Razak Al Hassan has been there and done that, don't get me wrong, and has a lot of UFC experience, but not much of it has been successful, having lost to the likes of Munir Lazez, Chaos Williams, and Jacob Malkoum back to back to back. Not that many considerable wins outside of maybe Nico Price. So that being said, I really just think this is a great opportunity for Joe Pyfer to make a statement. Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, Nick. So for this one, I actually did not put a weight on this fight, but like you said, I 100% agree on Joe Pyfer. Overall, he's riding an incredible 4-fight winning streak. I think in the grappling department, he definitely has this in the bag. I can see him finishing Abdul, but the thing is about Abdul, even though he is on a roller coaster of a ride lately in the UFC, win loss, And he was, like you mentioned, on a 3-fight losing streak before. Prior to that, he does have knockout power, though. He is 38. Age is not on his side. But when it comes down to the statistics in terms of significant punches, he's pretty close there with Joe Pyfer. Both land over 3.5 significant strikes per minute. And I will say Abdul does absorb quite a bit more. But again, out of his 12 wins, all 12 are via knockout. There's always a fighting chance, but definitely Joe Pyfer in this one. I will go with him. He's definitely the heavy favorite in this one, and I do favor him. Again, I did not rank him, but I do heavily agree with Joe Pyfer. I think that's the way to go.
That's a great observation, man. I did not catch, excuse me, that all of Abdul's wins are by KO. That's a great observation, and it's true. Joe Pyfer hasn't been KO'd really in his entire career. I think he's been in maybe it looks like they considered when he lost to Dustin Stoltzfus in the Contender Series, I think they considered that a KO, but it's stated to be a loss by slam, which is interesting. In any case, I really don't disagree at all. Abdul does have a knockout chance, and any bettors need to be aware that the knockout chance is there, and that's the one thing that would really hold Joe Pyfer, I feel like, from being minus 900, really. I mean, yeah, because I think wrestling-wise, he's got this in the bag. It's just a matter of not getting knocked out, which Abdul can really do. So I'm with my 5-weight. I'm betting he won't, but anything can happen.
Yeah, and likewise, yeah. So that's a great pick. Honestly, I definitely should have ranked it. I don't know why. I just did kind of get a little scared off from Abdul's power, but definitely, I definitely should have threw Joe Pyfer up there as 5 or 4. But that being said, for my but for my 5-weight, this is actually I believe now it's a featherweight bout between Alex Hernandez and Bill Algeo. Right now, Alex Hernandez is the betting underdog at plus 114, while Bill Algeo is the betting favorite at minus 146. I was a really big fan of Alex Hernandez, especially early, when he put out Beneil Dariush. Early, he looked very promising back then. And then he did some trash talking, kind of went downhill with up, down after the Donald Cerrone loss. But he did get a unanimous decision win over Jim Miller, which I do think is impressive. But now at featherweight, I don't know if this is going to be the same Alex Hernandez. I think his power is going to be sacrificed, and same with his cardio. And Bill Algeo, he's been looking phenomenal. He does have age on his side, but to be honest, I think Alex Hernandez at featherweight, I don't think he's going to do well. And when it does come to these more experienced fighters, besides Miller, his most recent win, most of the time prior to that, he doesn't do well against these more experienced guys. And Belgio isn't the most top ranked guy for sure. He definitely has his fair share of losses that he shouldn't have had either. But for this one, I'm going with Belgio. Lately Alex Hernandez has been kind of disappointing me, and he hasn't really looked as good besides that Jim Miller fight. But before that, he did get finished twice in the second round by Billy Q and Renato Canero. So for this one, I have Belgio so high just because of how short of promise of Alexander Hernandez falls. Again, I used to be a big fan of his. I'm still a fan of his, but I just don't think he's that guy. He's already getting up there in age. He's 31, but when he was looking like a real prospect back when he was in his mid-20s. So for this one, Bill Algeo, he's only 3 years older than him. So for this one, yeah, I'm going with Bill Algeo. What are your thoughts on this fight, Nick?
This is one of the fights I didn't weigh in on myself. There's 6 fights, 5 picks. Didn't weigh in on this one with my picks, but I don't know this one mainly because I think it's really close, man. I have a lot of respect for both guys, and they both to me are worthy of some concern in that they could lose to the other guy. I'm impressed by Bill Algeo's striking differential for sure. And I'm intrigued that he's got such a size advantage on Alex Hernandez. Maybe it is too much of the recency bias where we saw him dominate Jim Miller. It was pretty dominant at least. Maybe it's too recent for me to have seen him take those losses back in 2022 and have a different opinion on it. Billy Q's a pretty good fighter. So is Moicano. He's losing to some really good fighters. And not that Bill Algeo isn't the guy, but I really think this is going to be a dog fight, and it's hard for me to take a side.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely, especially in the striking department. I think Bill Joe's gonna have a slight advantage, but it's gonna be pretty close. Both guys throw high volume of punches. In the grappling department, I would say probably Alex Hernandez has a slight advantage, but Bill Joe also has phenomenal takedown defense. His wrestling isn't bad as well either. In his grappling in general, I should say he does have at least 2 submission wins on his record, so. I don't think he'd shy away from it. From this one, yeah, you don't have a weight on it, but for my 5-way, yeah, I have Bill Algeo.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. Well, that's 2 of the 6 fights down. Let's move on to my 4-weight pick of the week, which is going to take us to the main event. I'm going to break the egg and take us down over to Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green, the fight everybody's been waiting for. Grant Dawson's a pretty sizable favorite here at minus 430, with Bobby Green sitting at plus 300. And honestly, it's been a pretty widespread the whole time. Looks like it opened at about minus 400 in Grant Dawson's favor, so even more money coming in on KGD's side. And really, talking about Grant Dawson, I think it's just a wrestling pace. The fact that, like, I've heard people say that he's like the closest you're going to get to looking like a Dagestani wrestler without actually being a Dagestani wrestler. And honestly, it kind of makes sense. Like, the guy has a relentless pace that he'll continue to push, and he made it work against Demir Ismagulov. I thought that was going to be a much more tough fight than he made it seem to be. And Grant Dawson's now carrying a huge designation here going into this main event 5-round fight. I think since the cage is going to be a little small, it's not a pay-per-view, it's going to be a smaller cage. I think that benefits Grant Dawson, putting in pressure, getting wrestling pressure, getting in the clinch. I definitely think Bobby Green is all game to go into a dogfight, box it out, and take damage. And honestly, Bobby Green's going to be a hard guy to take down. 74% takedown defense. He's going to be a tough guy to take down. But in the end, man, I really think Grant Dawson is going to bring it to him. And to me, the only thing you really need to be concerned about with Grant Dawson is this being, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, his first 5-round fight, specifically in the UFC. Man, he looked gassed against Ricky Glenn, another guy who's on this card. And it led to a majority decision draw. He by all accounts, went into the 3rd round winning this fight and kind of died out. If he can't last into the championship rounds to get a decision win that he might have to get, because I doubt he's going to knock out Bobby Green, right? It's going to have to be either a submission or decision. So you got to be confident in his conditioning. But I love Grant Dawson here. I think he has a good chance to even go into the championship rounds up 3. So, in that case, Bobby Green's only choice is a 10-8 or a finish. So, Jose, what do you got for this one?
Yeah, so for this fight, I agree with you. I myself also have Grant Dawson, and yeah, I think on the feet, Bobby Green, he has phenomenal hands. He actually he lands more significant strikes per minute than Grant Dawson. He lands more than double, to be honest. He lands 6.14 while Grant Dawson 2.99. So on the feet, I definitely expect Bobby Green to probably be landing a bit more than what we're expecting, I guess. On Grant Dawson, I do expect him to be touched up a bit. That being said, I do expect then Grant Dawson to, in turn, put on the pressure and press forward, especially with, landing 3.7 takedowns on average per 3-round fight. I expect Grant Dawson to put some heavy pressure and almost bully Bobby Green the whole fight. Kind of similar, maybe just like how Islam Makhachev did, just in terms of like he can make it short. It can go many ways. I can see Dawson just making it a quick night for Bobby Green, kind of also like Hamza and Kevin Holland, or he's gonna have to show his conditioning and tough it out in the 4th and 5th round. And even then, I do see him sneaking in a submission on Bobby Green in the later rounds as well. I see Grant Dawson, winning via submission either really early or really late. Because Bobby Green, he's only been submitted twice, but I do think in this matchup, Grant Dawson being younger too, I think he's going to overall be the better fighter, and I just expect him to kind of take some punches to the face for sure on the feet. I think if he's on the feet too much, Bobby Green will, have the opportunity to potentially finish him. But again, I think Grant Dawson is just going to come in like a hard rock, like a boulder, just coming forward at him and take him down and ground and pound him to submission. And again, it's either he's going to execute it really quick or he's going to tough it out and do it at the end. So for this one, yeah, I got Grant Dawson, most likely by submission.
Yeah, by submission, I think really needs to be like that's the ideal in my opinion for sure. Give me the by submission. I think that is what he's going to have to go shoot for. I mean, you're right. Bobby Green's striking differential is impressive, and it's something to be concerned about enough if they just stand there and box the whole fight. Bobby Green could easily impose his will. So that's also part of the reason it's not my 5-weight pick. But in the end, I'm still very confident in Grant Dawson being able to at least impose his will in the small cage and get it done against Bobby Green.
Yes, so that was my 3-weight and your 4-weight. Do you want to talk about your 3-weight right now?
We still got
my 4-weight, right?
Yeah. Let's hit your 4-weight.
My 4-weight. Yeah. So my 4-weight. This is actually a fun fight too. This one is one of the ones I'm looking forward to the most too on the card. It is a welterweight bout between Alex Morono and Joaquin Buckley. Right now, Alex Morono is the betting underdog at plus 138, while Joaquin Buckley is the betting favorite at minus 178. This one's gonna be a good one. I think for what I recall, Alex Morono, yeah, he's fought historically too at lightweight. I think Joaquin Buckley just too because he used to be a middleweight. I see him overall taking this win. He's so flashy. We all know him for that spinning kick, and he is coming off another TKO head kick against Andre Fialho. So a good rebound against Nazardine Imavov and Chris Curtis. It's a good rebound from that. But even before that, he was on a 3-fight winning streak. So I think Joaquin is better than what his record shows too, because the amount of times he does gas himself out just because he wants to get a flashy KO, and his arms are just so big too. He's just definitely carrying a lot more oxygen in those muscles than he needs to. Definitely exerting a lot more energy because of that. But again, that's his style, the way he fights. I think he's gonna come in and try to put out Alex Morono. I don't know if he will, but I just think that the pace he's gonna put on and the output is going to lead him to at least a unanimous decision victory over Alex Morono. Alex Morono, he is a tough guy, and he's definitely going to be a challenge. And that submission over Tim Means is definitely impressive. But losing to nothing against Santiago Ponzinibbio too, but he did come off in December, finished in the 3rd round against Santiago Ponzinibbio, and that could be something that could happen against Joaquin Buckley too. Joaquin Buckley could, like I said, he's just gonna try to finish Alex Morono at any given moment of the fight. So if they make it to the 3rd round, I can see Joaquin Buckley putting out Alex Morono too if Alex Morono doesn't hang in there. If he does, I see Joaquin Buckley taking this unanimous decision victory. What are your thoughts on this fight, Nick?
Interesting, man. So to be honest, that I like Joaquin Buckley a lot. And going into the fight, looking at this, especially as the favorite, I'm thinking, yeah, Joaquin Buckley's not only going to be the favorite, but I'm probably going to think that I like him to win. But to be honest, man, slowly I started swaying myself the other way. And by swaying myself the other way, I mean thinking that Alex Morono might have a good chance to win this fight. I think obviously when you just look at one versus the other, Joaquin Buckley carries so much more strength and power and size. But in all honesty, Alex Morono's been there and done that with guys that are big and have size. Some have had success and some haven't, right? He has gotten knocked out by Santiago Ponzinibbio, but he's been able to get it done against some really good fighters as well. And I honestly just get the feeling that it's like Joaquin Buckley kind of feels like, KO or bust. He has one split decision win under his belt against the guy in the co-main event, Abdul. But in other cases, it just really feels like Joaquin Buckley is KO or bust. And I get it that Alex Morono has been KO'd before. So I don't blame anyone for taking Joaquin Buckley here. But personally, I have a 2-weight on Alex Morono. He's just been hot lately. And he's also gotten jujitsu slash like wrestling style that I think will be able to be a little lethal if Buckley goes to wrestle. I really think Morono might be live for a submission. At least more live for a submission than I am thinking Buckley will get one. So with that little wild card addition there, I don't know, man. I really think Morono is going to be able to stand in there. He's got a really nice positive striking differential. He throws a lot of strikes, so even though Buckley's got power, I think Morono's going to be able to piece him up, do some good damage, show some good form, and hopefully get himself a decision win here. So Morono is my two-way pick.
No, I like it. I see it. Yeah, and definitely the striking differential too. I definitely Morano definitely seems to have the better hands when it compares to Buckley. Buckley does have a 4-inch reach advantage though, so I wonder how much play he'll do then to keeping the distance and maybe limiting some of those punches. It's definitely going to be a tight one and a fun one for sure because yeah, Alex Morano can definitely. That submission one would be wild though too because neither guy's ever actually been submitted in their careers too. So, but definitely game. Joaquin Buckley does have strong takedown defense too, 66% takedown defense, and he does like to engage in the wrestling a little bit more than Alex Morono too. So maybe Joaquin Buckley too would try to put on some of his wrestling pressure as well. So this one, yeah, it's gonna be one we're gonna have to both agree to disagree on. You have Alex Morono as your 2-weight, and I have Joaquin Buckley as my 4-weight.
For sure. Yep. Sounds like the case. It's always a nice time when the fans get here two different perspectives. We don't always agree on our picks. So we'll move forward then to my 3-weight pick. We haven't gotten to this one yet. And I'm going to be talking about Drew Dober versus Ricky Glenn. This is like almost like a secondary to the main event in the sense that these guys are both kind of big names, I feel like, at least Drew Dober. And I think, excuse me, they both just bring a lot to the cage. Really, Drew Dober is such like a, he's looking like he might be down or he's looking like the fight might not go his way. Boom, get the KO. And it's just, you love to see it. So to cut to the chase, my 3-weight here is on Drew Dober. I have a lot of faith, at least somewhat amounts of faith. He's a huge favorite here, and I think it's for a good reason. All of his knockout history, including a couple of guys on this very card, Bobby Green and Alexander Hernandez. I really think this is a situation that's going to occur again for Ricky Glenn, coming off of a knockout. Ricky Glenn is the kind of guy who he has like a barely even striking differential. He's got some decent wrestling. I just don't sure it's going to become a factor here. Give me Drew Dober in a round 1 or 2 knockout. He's going to do what he's done for the past four fights. Whether it's a win or loss, he's 3-1. Whether it's a win or loss, he has gotten the finish in the first couple of rounds. So I'm taking Drew Dober by KO here.
Yeah, for this one, I myself also have Drew Dober. He's my 1-weight. Reason being is it is a little of a kind of like a recency bias, but it is just he just the fights that he's been having. He was on a 3-fight winning streak before losing to Matt Fravella. But even then, Matt Fravella he's actually a beast, and that fight that also ended pretty early. Like it was in the first round, and he kind of just got caught the way I view it. And Matt Fravella, like, that's nothing to be ashamed of. That's actually Matt Fravella is definitely a lot scarier than I think the credit he gets. So his last 4 fights, I just think overall he's looked better than Ricky Glenn. Even though Ricky Glenn, but this was back in 2021 already, already 2 years ago, when he went to majority draw with Grant Dawson, and then he took some time off, did not compete at all 2022, and just fought earlier this year, and lost in the first round. So he hasn't really shown much. In the past, and they're both the same age, but for this one, he could come back and he can be one of those dudes that just kind of stays out and then just comes back and just makes a shocking return. And that's something Drew Dober has been kind of historically also been kind of hit or miss too in some fights, like the Brad Riddell fight and obviously the Matt Fravella fight that just happened. So this could be one. This should be a fight. This should be a fight. I feel like he is the better fighter and he should win, but there is that like mystique of like Ricky Glenn being out for a bit, and he is, he's got 13 KOs slash TKOs on his record, so the dude's definitely a finisher. But I'm not that confident either in Drew Dober, so that's why he's my one weight, Nick.
Fair enough, dude. I gotta say too, given respect to my guys from Milwaukee, Ricky Glenn, I definitely won't be rooting against him. I'm just picking here what I think is going to be the outcome. And yeah, it really just comes down to that. I think Drew Dober gets the KO. And if not, then good for Rookie Glenn.
Wait, is Ricky Glenn's from Milwaukee?
According to Tapology, he is fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, that's sick. Oh.
So I shouldn't say that, that might not mean that's where he's from. A lot of times, guys from another country will fight out of Texas or something.
Right. Yeah.
But he's potentially at least just training in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, probably most likely Rufus.
Pura Vida BJJ.
Oh, okay. Actually, I don't know Pura Vida.
It says they're in Milwaukee. It says BJJ and MMA. It's owned by Jake Clip, Zach Atau, and Solo Acosta.
Oh, I know. Okay, I know Zach Atau. Okay.
Zach Atau, yeah. Yeah, Ricky Glenn, Zach Atau, Jonas Flock, Montel Jackson. I'm trying to see if there's any other names that train here before we move on.
Milwaukee,
from this gym
Milwaukee
specifically.
It's bigger than I thought.
Yeah, it's pretty, well, most of these guys aren't professional anymore, but yeah. Montel Jackson, though. Love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Montel Jackson is a friend of my Jose, you've met one of my buddies before that is good friends with we all have a friends group, and Montel Jackson is a friend of theirs. They know him personally.
Oh, sick.
He's scheduled to fight Chris Gutierrez on October 7th.
Yeah.
So
he's
that's
this
coming
week.
up.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's on a card.
Isn't that? Yeah, I was literally gonna say, isn't that crazy? He's literally one of the prelims, dude.
I was gonna say, I'm like, pretty sure he's on the prelims. Yeah, so.
Isn't that? I mean, I just gotta say, man. In the UFC, he's 7-2.
Damn. Yeah, that's.
By the way, with his one loss being to Ricky Simone, who's a beast, and some guy. His other loss was to Brett Johns. But you know what? Give him a break. It was a couple of years ago. All right, it was in 2020. But yeah, he's on a 4-fight win streak. I'd love to see him beat Chris Gutierrez.
That's actually going to be a banger fight. Him and Chris Gutierrez.
Yeah, it actually kind of will. Chris Gutierrez is really good. He even got to fight a top-ranked fighter.
Yeah, he's
in Munoz.
Yeah, and then he knocked out Frankie Edgar brutally last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an old Edgar, though.
Yeah, but still. That's Edgar.
But yeah, in any case, I just wanted to make that disclaimer that I love the Wisconsin MMA scene, but I just don't think it's going to come. I think they're going to be 1-1. At least, I'm happy if they're 2-0, but I think Montel wins. Ricky Glenn loses. Love to see the representation on this card. And with that said, I think we have one more fight left.
Yeah. And that is
so I'll let you take it away. It's your 2-weight.
That is my 2-weight, and this is an exciting fight too. It's some of the bigger boys on the fight card, and this is between Philip Lins and Ian Cutelaba. Right now, Felipe Lins is the betting underdog at plus 114, while Ian Cutelaba is the betting favorite at minus 146. Ian Cutelaba, he looked good against Tanner Bozier earlier this year, and that's a fight he definitely needed to win, and he should have won. So it's good that he did win that. And then for Felipe Lins, he's running on a three fight winning streak, which includes like Ovince St. Preux. So I'm actually surprised he is the underdog in this one. I felt like he should have been the favorite, given Ian Kudalaba's performance. Even counting the last one though, but just historically, I felt like he was gonna be the underdog in this. And Ian Kudalaba has historically let me down. I think the Ryan Spann, Johnny Walker, and Kennedy fight. I think all of them I had him and he lost. And then the last one I had him, I think he should have won, and thankfully he did. But this one, yeah, that being said, after all that, I'm still willing to gamble with this guy. I don't think he should have been the favorite, but I am gambling and taking him. He is my two weight. I got Ian Kudalaba just overall because he has seen more of the who's who in the UFC, and he has been in the UFC a little bit longer than Felipe as well. So he's fought big names all well around, beaten big names like Khalil Roundtree. But he's never really lost to names like all the names like Magomed Ankalaev, Ryan Spann, Johnny Walker, Glover Teixeira, Jared Cannonier. These are dudes you know he shouldn't have. He wasn't going to be. They're just legit killers. Lynn's on the other hand, he's a killer. Just I don't know yet. Like if I'm think he's that guy quite yet. He actually has a loss to Tanner Bozier as well back in 2020, and Andrei Arlovsky as well. Granted, that was probably most likely a heavyweight, and this is a light heavyweight. It's probably gonna be a little more competitive, but Ian Kudalaba is just overall a lot more experienced as well at light heavyweight. So for this one, I'm going with Ian Kudalaba as my two weight. What are your thoughts on this one, Nick?
I agree with the pick. I got him as my one weight. The Hulk, Kutelaba. A lot of the same elements, and on top of the fact that for as long as Kudalaba's been around, as much experience as he is not even 30 years old. That is crazy. I think Philip Lins is approaching. He's above 38 years old. Philip Lins is the opposite. He is at the tail end of his UFC relevancy, or his at least ability to make a championship run happen in the light heavyweight division. And I just don't think it's going to come to fruition here. I think Kudalaba is going to have not only more experience to win this fight, but he's just going to have the straight up abilities to come in here and outstrike Philip Lins. He has a better, in fact, Philip Lins has a negative striking differential. Kudalaba's got a 1.5 striking differential. You love to see it. And Philip Lins traditionally has used wrestling in the past against guys like Marcin Prachnio, getting the decision win, 4 takedowns. I just don't think that's going to be something he's comfortable doing against Kudalaba. So, I'm almost talking myself into more confidence than a one weight. But yes, give me Kudalaba on this fight.
Yeah, and as I was looking at it too, just even like the takedown average, like Ian Kudalaba is definitely just gonna come in. He's got the better wrestling, and even the hands too. Overall, he's the better fighter. I think the biggest thing is Lins has a 3-inch reach advantage, but when Ian Kudalaba is landing almost 5 significant strikes per minute, and definitely almost 3 times the amount, definitely over twice the takedown average than Lins. Like Ian Kudalaba is definitely going to be looking for that takedown against Lins too, and ground and pound. So for this one, I can see Ian Kudalaba getting unanimous decision. And like you said, yeah, maybe he should have been higher up on my list too. But I'll settle with Ian Kudalaba being as my two weight because again, the biggest thing is he has let me down many times in the past too. So that's why I have him so low. But yeah, this is one we'll have to agree with. We're agreeing with Ian Kudalaba.
Yep. Yeah, we're agreeing for sure. Yeah, I love the slate of picks. I put them higher, but I love the slate of picks already as is. So thanks, guys, for listening. That will bring us to the conclusion here of Moneyline MMA's weekly show. We picked one of each of the 6 main fights on this pay-per-view coming up on Saturday. And for one of those, neither Jose or I maybe didn't have a weight just because we've only provided you guys 5 weights. This fight will be starting, just a quick disclaimer, prelims at 3 in the afternoon, so just keep in mind that the main card, unless there's, maybe I should double check actually, because unless there's that many prelims, the main card might start a little early, is what I'm saying. Yep, they're saying main card at 6 p.m. Main card at 6 p.m. It's a little earlier than usual, 6 p.m. Central Time, of course. That's a little earlier than usual. So make sure to consider your dinner plans as you please with the UFC event, knowing it starts at 6. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We will be back next week. The UFC's bringing some heat for a couple of weeks in a row here. We've got one more fight night after this, and then we've got the pay-per-view in August. That'll be super exciting. So until next week, guys, make sure to tune in next Monday around 6 o'clock, and we will be live. Have a good one.